Wearing stockings to work? The husband raised an eyebrow in surprise, accidentally waking up at 6:30 in the morning when Olga was getting ready for work. She's taken by surprise. She blushed and began to make excuses that she couldn't have bare legs. But now it was hot and stockings were just right. The husband smiled slyly and waved his hand without listening. Okay. Don't make excuses and turn to the other side to get some sleep. Meet me in them in the evening. Olga heard from the room and hastily ran out of the house. Olga snorted and ran. She got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at 8 o'clock she had the workday began. So I went to bed immediately after the children at 10 o'clock evenings. My husband started working in the afternoon only after accelerating in the evening and ending by midnight. So it was necessary to meet him no earlier than 1 in the morning. And this means definitely not getting enough sleep and being exhausted the whole next day. The husband was also only interested in his wife at night. And in the morning he was unable to do so. And at night Olga was tired. For a long time she adjusted to her husband, falling asleep in the evening and waking up waiting for her husband. But work and children have taken all my energy in recent years. She had a lot of desires. But when she had a desire, her husband couldn't or didn't want to. And when he got there, she was already asleep. It all came down to quick communication on weekends during the day, when the children were out, at clubs or at grandma's. This did not suit both of them, but the husband categorically did not agree to any changes. As he said, he could not get as much joy at any other time as at night. This is the time of his body, and Olga got tired of mocking her body with night awakenings for 10 years. And the accumulating fatigue that at some point she stopped trying. So it all came down to weekends when you can, and not when you want. And then he appeared. Actually, he has been around for a long time, helped with everything. You can trust him. He helped out. But Olga did not notice him while she was happy at home with her husband, while she was giving birth to children and was immersed in them, while she was recovering from childbirth. Then he was simply one of many men. And now I have become someone for whom I wanted to be beautiful and desirable. So far she hasn't even thought about anything serious. It was enough for her that he sees her beauty, her intelligence, notices her successes and her changes. She still loved her husband, but her husband had not complimented her for a long time, nor said how beautiful she was. The husband expected passion and fire from her. He wanted his wife to turn him on as before. But he himself stopped giving this passion. Moreover, if Olga, despite giving birth, remained as slender at 35 as at 20, then her husband at 40 was already flabby and had built up a decent belly. And all this never prompted me to put on stockings, to the detriment of my own sleep. Olga has not had the same emotions with her husband for a long time that she had 5 years ago due to his constantly increasing weight. He could no longer be as quick as he used to be. To say directly that you don't like it means to offend and run into complaints. My husband chose this conversation strategy long ago when he was wrong. He himself suffered from excess weight, but did nothing. It just seems that only women worry about their appearance. Men worry no less. The emerging bald spot and stomach upset my husband very much. He did not want to accept the inevitable changes in his body, nor did he want to accept the fact that he could control them. All she had to do was give up beer and fatty foods at night. And Olga's receding hairline didn't bother her. And the other was slender and athletic, despite the fact that he was 10 years older than Olga. Together with him, Olga again felt like a woman. Stockings for work. Yes. Stockings? Yes to work. Why not? Olga herself didn't notice how a few months ago she started wearing beautiful lingerie and stockings to work. The morning at work began with coffee with him, and no one could distract him at this time. But they wanted to distract him and tried. But after a couple of months everyone realized that it was useless when he was with Olga. At first Olga was worried, but he calmed her down and said that everyone who needed it would wait, and whoever didn't need it, so there was no need to come. And they waited and waited, every day, at the same time. He never crossed the boundaries of what was permitted and did not allow anyone to even think anything possible about their relationship other than as a working one. They are a team, but this was true, because in their work they really understood each other perfectly and all the projects they took on were completed on time and successfully. but one did not interfere with the other. He very subtly seduced Olga, forcing her to take the first step. Although he really liked her, she was married, and he didn't want to be the reason for a divorce. Moreover, I did not want to take responsibility for the emergence of these relationships. He was quite wealthy and free, and did not at all want to burden himself with a woman with children who were not his children. Let her come and fall into her arms. Then, in case of a possible conflict with her husband or, even worse, fantasies about a serious relationship with him, you made the decision yourself. You came up with everything yourself. I didn't promise anything. Olga turned out to be a tough nut to crack, and this turned him on even more. He had seen how she had changed in recent months. Previously, he only saw her as a good employee, but their joint business trip, when work was past midnight, and many different meetings, negotiations, dinners, where one could not be unkind and at the same time avoid insubordination, revealed Olga to him from new sides. It turned out that 2 decrees in a row did not turn her into a domestic clown. On the contrary, she blossomed as a woman, and her intelligence, erudition, and ability to behave in negotiations pleasantly surprised him. He began to spend more time teaching her the intricacies of her work, and at the same time studying her reactions to compliments on his attention. He specifically began to single her out from all employees, involving her in his projects. Surprisingly, their working tandem turned out to be very successful. Working with Olga was easy and pleasant. All his close associates and former employees fell in love with him. What did he expect from Olga? And it seems like the process has begun. Day after day, seducing Olga, he watched how she began to take better care of herself, how her eyes glowed with delight when she looked at him, but nothing else happened. Usually, after 3 months of such a relationship, the girls, burning with excitement, without waiting for direct action from him, themselves took the initiative, starting a relationship with him. This was already their responsibility, and when the girl began to flirt, naively believing that he was caught in the trap of her love, he quickly and firmly put the girl in her place, reminding her that he did not seduce or promise love and fidelity, but she came herself. Only Olga never came. Olga was flying. She flew to work every day, because it was another wonderful day with him. Vacationing with my husband turned out to be a burden. She didn't want her husband at all, and for the first time she realized that she was thinking only about him. It was new and scary, terribly exciting and frightening. After all, then there was just a divorce from her husband, and she didn't want to get a divorce at all. The children cannot live without their father, and she had put so many years and effort into this marriage that she had no intention of ruining it. However, now she clearly understood that she wants another man, and this man is her boss. But this is also dangerous because I could lose both my family and my job. Olga thought and tried to pay maximum attention to her husband during the last days of her vacation. However, she flew back to work. She waited for him to finally make up his mind, but he did nothing. A month later, their company celebrated its anniversary, and the whole team was planning to go out of town for the weekend. Olga was looking forward to this event, fearing that her husband might not let her go. But everything worked out, and she went. It was well after midnight, when all the heavily drunk people had dispersed, some to their rooms, some to their companies. He volunteered to take Olga to her room, and saying goodbye, he grabbed her in his arms and kissed her. Olga's knees buckled from excess feelings. "Let's come to me," he whispered, and at that moment Olga's phone rang. Her husband called to find out how she was, how the evening went. Taking the phone, Olga entered her room and slammed the door in front of the boss. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe to our channel, and you will the first listeners of another new story.